Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, October 27th, 2022. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central, to talk about success stories and share tactics and resources. And that certainly ties into our agenda for today. What we've observed is a couple of you are maybe a little bit more sophisticated than others and have really set up a vibrant sales shop. And so we're going to define what that means and how we see some of our most successful distribution partners doing this. It's important to look at it in scale, though. So a sales shop could be just one individual who's using this approach to be able to earn more income and help more clients. And then some of you are actually building out an infrastructure where you're hiring multiple people to replicate the same process for your organization. But regardless of scale, small or large, let's start by reviewing the value proposition to the three primary stakeholders, and then we'll talk about best practices in setting up a sales shop. I did send to each of you this agenda this morning, so you should have a PDF copy of it. So I think it's first healthy for us to pause and reflect, what is this all about? So in one sentence, what you and I do, what our model does, is we are seeking to assist small businesses to access capital for starting or growing a business. And we do that through a network of white label partners who are led by a team of regional vice presidents. Now, that's not our mission statement. That's just simply a one sentence. Our mission statement ties into the threefold focus that we have of building financial literacy, building loan packages, and helping small businesses become credible enough on paper for funding. Let's go ahead and break down what this means to the client, which we'll refer to as the end user, to the white label partner, and then to the regional vice president, because these are the three primary stakeholders that we made reference to in this introductory sentence. So from the end user's perspective, the client, the small business owner, typically we're focused on helping them with the access to capital program. And that is an unmatched, unparalleled proposition. Why is that? Well, really, it's like a free program to them to guarantee them access to capital. Of course, there is no upfront cost. There is no risk to them. We guarantee them a capital raise, and by default it's 100,000, but I do know that a number of you are increasing that to 250,000. So that's subject to the white label partners terms and conditions, but they're getting a guaranteed capital raise. We have no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business for them to enroll. So we're not filtering people out. This was developed by a bunch of experienced individuals, including former SBA, SBDC advisors, amongst others. And then all the participants in the Access to Capital program are receiving one-on-one mentoring by a business paralegal. So from the client's perspective, this is outstanding. I don't think that there's anything else in the marketplace that can rival this. But again, we have to remember, we have three stakeholders, don't we? It's not just the clients. This has to be a good deal for the white label partners, and it has to be a great deal for the regional vice presidents. So let's continue on. From the white label partner proposition, it's incredible as well. They're able to earn a minimum of $12,500 for each referral into the Access to Capital program. This number could be a lot larger based upon a couple of variables. Number one, how they write their terms and conditions, but also the amount of capital raised. But if the client just receives $100,000, the floor, the white label partner is receiving $2,500 on the front end, plus another $10,000 performance fee. That's where the 12.5 comes from. Again, the client could raise more, and this could be worth more to the white label partner But my goodness, as a white label partner, to know that you've earned at least $12,500 per referral, that's a pretty good start. We know that the white label partner gets to set their own pricing, which I made some reference to, and contractual terms. So they're in control. And best of all, we don't charge anything for someone to sign up as a white label partner. They don't have to give us banking information. They're able to plug in and start generating income. Our goal for our white label partners is to help at least 8 clients a month. Well, do the math on that. My goodness, 8 times 12,500. That's more than some people make in a year that a white label partner should be making in a month. So I think we can agree that the value proposition to the client, the end user, is strong. It's equally as strong to the white label partner. And then ultimately we have our leadership team, which includes some of you. Our regional vice presidents are earning overrides. They're going out and developing the team of white label partners, and they're earning a minimum of 2,500. Where does that come from? It's 2.5 points off of this $100,000 from each client. So 2.5% times 100,000. And that's not reducing the white label partners comp. That's coming from our budget, not from reducing the white label partners income. As each white label partner, as I mentioned earlier, should be referring in at least 8 clients a month, each RVP should be recognizing right around 20,000 per month per white label partner on their team. And let's take Kat for a second. We'll kind of toot her horn. You know, she is incredible. She's rapidly developing a team of white label partners, and she's on track. She's literally on track to have 100 white label partners under contract under her umbrella as a regional vice president. So it's real. It certainly, as a RVP, it does allow the flexibility. I mean, you can be a big hitter like Kat and go build a large team or even just a small team. And again, there's no cost. So what's the common theme that you see here? What does it cost to sign up as an RVP? Nothing. What does it cost to sign up as a white label partner and have this opportunity? Nothing. What does it cost the client to be able to enroll? What's their upfront cost? None. So very, very nice. So that's the value proposition. But beyond that, now our real topic today is setting up a sales shop. But we wanted to start by revisiting the value proposition to our 3 key stakeholders, because if this is not a good deal, not a great deal for each of them, then why bother? But I think we can all feel comfortable that it is. So let's get to setting up a sales shop. And some of you aren't comfortable with the word sales. And so we're going to use it in this context. If you feel better saying that you're an educator or business developer, maybe sales is a dirty word to you. And so you want to substitute something else in. But just shooting straight, let's talk about how to set up a sales shop. So again, we've established that the value proposition is strong, the economic model is great. Now we need to go implement. And sometimes we have distribution partners who fail to implement. And when we don't implement, then we don't make money and we don't help people. So here is what I've seen a number of you do that has worked really well. And that's why we're sharing this success story, this template, if you care to follow it. Do you have to follow it? Absolutely not. There's really two primary elements to setting up a sales shop. Whether you want Scott Stroud, our chief marketing officer, to develop it, or you want to develop it on your own, it doesn't matter the who, but it just makes a lot of sense to have a landing page to drive your prospects to. If you don't have a landing page, can you still be successful? Sure, but we're talking about best practices here. I strongly encourage you to consider having a landing page. Well, what's on a landing page? It should be brief. It should be very focused. It shouldn't be broad. Ideally, it's just one page, and it might have an embedded video, a brief video, a 3 to 5 minute overview, has some brief content, but it also provides the mechanism to collect basic demographic information from the prospect. And typically it's as limited as name, email, and phone. The more information that you gather initially, the less likely they are to complete it and to move forward in the process. So at this point on the landing page, we just want to collect the most basic information. And then once that's collected, then the landing page should have what we call automation that then initiates a drip marketing campaign. So until that person does enroll, and frankly, this approach could be used for RVPs, recruiting white label partners, but really we're talking about white label partners using this to attract clients. So until this prospect becomes a client, in other words, until they've signed, it continues to drip them information. Could be via text, could be via email, could be both. It's not soliciting them, but educating them to help encourage them to move forward. Because the end goal is for the prospect to become a client. And that happens once they accept your online terms and conditions. So in this model, you don't have to send them an Adobe, you don't have to send them a DocuSign. The terms and conditions are there on your page. So just to explain if it's confusing, normally it's like a layered approach. So first you would collect basic information, name, email, phone, and then they would submit that, and then it would take them to the next page, which is hidden otherwise, that allows them to accept your terms and conditions and enroll. So there's really only three scenarios that could occur. Either they go to your landing page and they do nothing, which could happen, but that's obviously not the goal. The second is they fill out the basic information, but when they're instructed to, on the next page, to enroll terms and conditions, they don't. And if that is the case, then the drip marketing campaign would continue to encourage them to go back and complete. Or best of all, they go to your landing page, they submit the basic demographic information, and then they do continue on to the second step, if you will, of accepting terms and conditions. So there's only three outcomes. If you need help developing a landing page, email us and we can get you set up with Scott to discuss options and what you're wanting to accomplish. What we don't recommend is combining landing pages. Some of you are both an RVP and a white label partner. I would have two different landing pages. One as an RVP targeting to recruit white label partners, and then a different landing page when you're wearing your white label partner hat on to try to recruit and engage clients. Landing pages should be very specific. Are there any questions anyone has on the landing page bullet before we move on? You can just type it into the question and answer of Zoom. It's kind of like a chat box. So do you have to have a landing page? Absolutely not. You can just go into your white label Dropbox. You can edit the agreement templates that we've provided. You can send it to your prospect via DocuSign or Adobe or whatever method you want. That's okay. That's fine. I'm just sharing with you best practices, because what we know is that we'll have the highest number of conversions if you do it this way, for two reasons. You have automated follow-up for those that don't initially sign up, and it makes it so easy for them to sign up because there's online terms and conditions. We've told this story probably one too many times, but Scott, our chief marketing officer, built a landing page for Jeff Sokol, one of our distribution partners. And in one 30-day period, Jeff had 400 enrollments. I'm not saying 400 leads or 400 prospects, literally had 400 enrollments in one 30-day period. And so I'm sure you could do that too if you're wanting that type of volume. Now, we need to get to the second bullet here in a minute, because a landing page alone without leads is not going to necessarily solve your problems, but the landing page can work really nicely. And yes, if you need examples of landing pages that Scott's created and all that, just email us and we can get you with Scott and he can help you with all of that. Okay, so let's thank you for the questions and feedback. Let's move on then to the second bullet is we need leads. Now, even if you don't want to have a landing page, which doesn't matter to me, you still need leads. Some of you have your own relationships, warm relationships, your own ways of developing leads. And if you have an adequate lead flow, you don't have a problem. So you can dismiss this. But for those of us that aren't so blessed that we have this internal source of leads, we need to find leads, because if we have no leads, we earn no money, and that would be horrible. We don't want that. I believe in general, the easiest way to get leads is, frankly, for you not to go get leads, delegate it. There's other people. Now, again, some of you are exceptions, and I respect that, but as compared to most of us are not the most competent people to go generate leads. There's other people that have gifts to do that, experience, knowledge, and the wherewithal to do it. So if you don't have your own leads, I encourage you to consider letting someone else do it for you. You might say, well, what does that mean? Here's an example, and Bruce now has joined us on the Zoom. He wasn't on initially, but there's a handful of you that are using Synergy Direct solution. I have no financial interest in this. So this isn't like a link that credits back to me. I don't know if you've done this or not. I don't get paid for this. There's no conflict of interest. And there's other lead sources. But what Bruce and 4 or 5 others of you have done with amazing success is hire a virtual agent. Well, why would you want a virtual agent? Because you need leads. And if you don't have leads, I believe it's better off to delegate and let someone go generate leads for you that's really good at it and not take your time. But again, this is optional. So on Synergy Direct solution.com, we've covered this and we've shared the website on the screen before and looked at it, but you can use their virtual agent, and it's not free, but it's next to free. And everyone that I've visited with has told me that they're generating 1 to 2 leads per hour of time of the virtual agent. And so that's pretty consistent of what we've seen. And then we're seeing about a 50% close rate. So very high close rate. Because keep in mind, when you have one of these virtual agents, you can instruct him or her on the criteria of what you're looking for. So you're able to filter. Now, the tighter the filters, the fewer the leads you're going to get, of course. But because of our proposition, we don't need to tighten it too much, right? We don't have a minimum time in business, so you don't have to restrict it on that. We don't have a minimum credit score, so you don't have to restrict it on that. Now, you could if you want to. So with that being said, the apex of the call here is we recommend understanding how to set up a sales shop, and then you can decide if you want to do so or not. 2 important elements would be a landing page and adequate lead flow. We've talked about one option to get lead flow. If you need capital for a landing page or for leads, obviously you can go through the Access to Capital program yourself. So we can cover whatever it is. If you want to put yourself on payroll, pay yourself a base salary of $5,000 or $10,000 a week, great, we can do it. You want a company car so you're cruising around in style, great, we can do it. Need money for office, admin assistant, marketing, whatever, we can do that. But with that being said, let's summarize as we prepare to end early today. What we've covered today is the best practice of setting up a sales shop. We started by talking about the value proposition of what we do in light of the 3 stakeholders that we have: the clients, the white label partners, and the regional vice presidents. We've talked about why it's a win-win-win scenario. From there, we've talked about the 2 essential elements of setting up a sales shop. That typically would be having a landing page to drive people to and adequate lead flow. If you don't have a landing page, Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, can develop it for you, or you can develop your own if you want, or if you don't want a landing page, skip that. That's up to you, but it is part of the best practice. And then obviously you need leads. You're not going to generate sales, you're not going to generate income without leads. And so there's different ways to get leads, of course, but one of the best ways is to spend literally no time to delegate it. And you can get virtual agents through Synergy Direct if you'd like. Now you can also go to Upwork or Fiverr and find other ways to generate leads. Or you can go out and do workshops. You can get referrals from banks and CPAs. I know there's many different ways, but that requires more effort. This requires next to no effort. And that's why we're presenting it as a best practice. If you need support, obviously you can email us. You can text us. We prefer you not call. We try to save the incoming call incoming lines for customers, but nonetheless, here's how you can reach support. So yes, anyone that wants examples of landing pages or advice on that, email us, and then I'll get you with Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer. He is the technical wizard that built Jeff's model and can build one for you if you would like. Any other questions, comments, concerns that anyone has? And yes, we can provide you Scott's scheduling link. He doesn't use Calendly like I do, but I'll give you his scheduling link. I'll email it back to you, and then you can get on his schedule. He travels a fair amount. I'm traveling more. I'll be out 2 days next week, traveling Tuesday and Friday, but nonetheless, you can get on his schedule. Anyone have any other questions about the concepts of setting up a sales shop and or this very strong value proposition that we've discussed as it relates to the 3 key stakeholders, the end user, the white label partner, and the regional vice president? Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns before we break today? Bruce, let me ask you a quick question before we go. You told me yesterday, how many in-house agents are you planning on having in your sales organization by the end of November? I don't want to misquote. Bruce, could you type into the Q&A? You're using a very similar model to this. How many inside reps do you plan on having following this model or a similar model? 25. So I misspoke. I told you 30. So, some of you have a vision for a big operation and the experience and the capability, like Bruce, to run something large. Others are just looking to get some side income, and that's okay. It's very scalable. But for example, what Bruce is doing is he's hiring a virtual agent to work for each of his reps. So he has a 1-to-1 ratio, and that's allowing for incredible volume. But you don't have to scale it up like that. You don't have to go create some virtual call center. You can make it as simple as you want, but certainly it works. It works. Thank you, Bruce. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we end today's training? All right, we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.